The Pentagon has unveiled a budget preview on Monday that would shrink the U.S. Army to pre-World War II levels in order to meet 2015 spending caps. The U.S. military is trying to walk a fine line to keep its global strength while still being asked to make steep spending reductions. Sean Callebs joins us now from the newsroom with the latest on that. Sean?
Well, Anna, no one is arguing the U.S. military is going to have to cut cost. The war in Iraq is over. The fighting in Afghanistan is now winding down. The question is, how much to cut and how quickly? Today, the U.S. Defense Secretary offered his blueprint. Agile, capable, and a more modern military better equipped to handle today's threats. That's the kind of force U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel says is needed in the 21st century and in the era of budget cuts.
We made choices based on strategic priorities, clear facts, unbiased analysis, and fiscal realities.
The cuts are widespread. Under the budget reduction plan, the number of Army troops would be slashed 13%, from a wartime high of 570,000 in the wake of the 9/11 attacks to about 440,000.
The veterans lobby will object, and the congressmen and women don't want to fight with the veterans.
Hagel does want to increase the number of special forces, the kind of troops who killed Osama bin Laden. And he wants to bump up spending to cope with cyber attacks. In simple terms, the U.S. says other nations, such as China, are improving their militaries, and the American military needs to adapt.
That means that we are entering an era where American dominance on the seas, in the skies, and in space can no longer be taken for granted.
Defense expert Michael O'Hanlon of the Brookings Institution calls the projected U.S. cuts cautious and reasonable.
Even with these cuts, the United States will still outspend China 3-1. When you add in our allies, we'll outspend China 5 or 6-1. We have a cumulative weapons inventory of somewhere around $3 trillion of modern high-technology weapons.
The U.S. Defense Secretary wants to scrap the A-10 Warthog, a star of the first Gulf War, and an aircraft that terrifies and terrorizes Taliban troops. Also on the chopping block, the super-fast U-2 spy plane. Spending cuts are never easy and expect the administration to have an especially hard time trying to reduce or eliminate future pay hikes for U.S. troops and cut their benefits, such as housing. However, the administration says if the cuts aren't done now, more severe, more difficult spending reductions are going to be necessary and they say soon.
Well, Sean, as you say, these cuts are never very easy, but how difficult is it going to be to push through these budget cuts, even though basically all sides agree military spending must be cut? It's a long way to go, isn't it?
It's a long way to go, and it's going to be very difficult. Basically, Congress is going to have the final word on this. The administration will take its plan there. Congress is going to fight tooth and nail for every program that's in that various senators' or congressmen's backyards, whether it be aircraft, military spending, bases, and also anytime you talk about trimming benefits for troops. It's a real hot-button issue in the United States, something a congressman can stand up on the floor and say, I refuse to do this. But as one analyst told me, what good does it do to have a well-paid soldier if you don't give that soldier the tools to fight and survive on the battlefield?
Okay, thanks, Sean. Sean Callebs there reporting on the latest proposed budget cuts to the U.S. military.